Hey guys, and welcome back to another Koibu's Corner. This week, we're going to talk about how to get more out of your character in terms of role-playing. If you feel that you're ready to take the next step and change your D&D experience from playing an RPG to playing a role-playing game, you're going to have to make some fundamental shifts in the way that you approach the game. Most players approach the game in a sort of, this is my objective, this is how I'm going to complete it way. And I know that phrasing makes it sound a little bit robotic, but people often tend to play their characters as robots with personalities that change to suit their current problem. We don't like to admit that our characters are poorly defined, one dimensional killbots who just happen to share a mutual objective, but more often than not, it's true. Step number one is to realize this is how you're playing your character, because before you can make your character deeper and more interesting, you need to admit that your character is totally flat, which he probably is, or she probably is. Once you come to terms with the fact that all of your characters were pretty much the same thing personality wise, just different races and classes or different weapons and spells, it's time for step two. Stop caring about leveling up an experience. If you play the game to level up, just go play a video game. Dragon Age is great. D&D has two strong points: freedom of action and an open-ended story. Your objectives should be story-based. You're playing a character in a story. You're playing a game for the story. If you just want to level up and go get epic loot, just play Diablo 3. If you want to play an amazing badass warrior who can't be stopped, just start at level 20. We're playing RPGs to get immersed in the world. The more you play your characters for the story, the more you're going to get out of the story. So, with that in mind, it's time for step number three: moving away from objective based play. Your character is more than a tool to do a job. They're individuals, fictional as they may be, but they have desires and biases and fears and joys all of their own. It's not kill the Goblin King for experience, it's save the locals from the threat of goblins. Sure, the sheriff of the town came to you and asked you to kill the goblins in order to save the village, but just because the sheriff of the town came to you and asked you to kill the Goblin King doesn't mean killing the Goblin King is the only objective, or the only way to solve the problem, actually. Your true objective at all points in time is to have fun. And if you're looking to step into the deep end of RPGs, you're going to find that a lot of fun comes from building relationships with your NPCs. So, what if instead of killing this Goblin King, you cut your way through to him and make him promise to never attack the village again? The goblin threat is now removed, and the king is alive. And now you've established a relationship with him. He respects you because he knows about your strength, and you can trust him not to attack again, or his life is forfeit. At this point, he is someone you can kind of manipulate. If you kill him, that's the end of the storyline forever. If you get him to leave the village alone, you might be able to come back to him at a later date and maybe use him against your enemies. One day you might find you need to know something that the Goblin King knows, and if you kill him, you can't do that. NPCs are more used to you alive than they are dead, almost all the time. Senseless murder gives you kind of that immediate gratification, but it isn't very much fun in the long term. In fact, let's just cut out all the unneeded killings. Or even random bandits you fight on the road might be more used to you alive than dead. At the very least, they're going to go and spread the word of the party who defeated them, which kind of broadens your reputation. And there's a lot of fun things that you can do when people start to hear about you, but people can't hear about your exploits if you kill everyone who witnesses them, right? So, it's time for the last and the most difficult step: understanding your character's personality and motivations. Whew, that's a hard one. So, to start with, we're going to roll their stats even before considering their personality. Let's just say you're going to play fighter with 17 strength, 7 intel, and 14 charisma. I picked those numbers kind of at random, and the other stats in this situation are average, or it doesn't matter. We're just going to look at these three because it's easier to discuss. So, your character is not the sharpest tool in the shed with that 7 intel, but they've got might with their 17 strength, and they can be kind of influential with other people with their 14 charisma. Think to yourself, how do these stats reflect on your character? Well, you could play your fighter like a bully, someone who's always been stronger than their peers but a little bit slow, so they use their strength to get their way and impress people. In this case, that 14 charisma kind of reflects the in-your-face attitude your fighter might have, even if it's only muscle that he's really displaying. Your character's probably short-tempered, insecure, maybe a little defensive about it, and using their strength and intimidation to earn fear instead of respect. They often act without thinking their actions all the way through. A character like this often means well, but they really want people to like them and respect them. But they're so headstrong and defiant that they get in trouble from time to time. Note, they get in trouble from time to time. They're not always going to ruin plans, but they're going to, if they have someone spoken idea, no one else is speaking up to or giving an idea, they might just go ahead and run off and do whatever it is they're thinking without consulting the party. Characters like this tend to be very protective of the few friends they make, and if you can earn their trust, they'll follow you to the ends of the earth. On the other hand, you could take the exact same set of stats and the exact same character class and make your character completely different. You might play your character as one who embraces their lack of book smarts, and instead of feeling insecure and defensive, they would be mesmerized by those with knowledge. Wizards, sages, priests, anyone who has a highly honed skill would be given a respect and a station of honor. Your character would go out of their way to please these people and pay close attention to what they say. Their charisma in this case shows their willingness to listen and their surprising honesty and compassion, even if they don't understand what's going on all the time. If the party's in a rowdy tavern, joking around and having a great time with everyone when the town elder is trying to make an announcement, they're likely to stand on their chair and bellow for silence, turning the room over to the town elder once things quiet down. Take a close look at your stats. What do they say about your character? If you're playing a bully, you're not going to take well to someone who's intimidating you. On the other hand, if they can intimidate you, you're probably going to lose, or you're probably going to give in, because at heart, you're really insecure. If you're playing someone who gives deference to those more knowledgeable, you might actually end up being a little bit gullible, or falling for some con artists, or just taking people at face value without looking past that, without looking at their ulterior motives. There's a million different ways you can interpret your stats, so find something that rings true and just keep that in mind while you play. Okay, that's it for this week, guys. As always, subscribe, like, and come back for more. GLHF.